record button, and let me just hit one other button here. Whoops. I just got to hit one other button here. There we go. So I have really been looking forward to our discussion. I have talked with Carly Berryman, who's the founder of Viva Vita, a few times in the last 3 years, but topics that are tech and VR and things of that nature, we've got to you got to keep on top of it. And so having Carly back again to talk about how we can use virtual reality in senior living is going to be amazing. And the best part about it is that Carly actually, she's got one of her somebody that's been using virtual reality who is going to be joining us as well. And just so you all know, so let me welcome both of you to the stage here real quick. Hi. Just so you know, folks, when I do these discussions and we're planning them out, I always say to our panel members, it's like, look, if you've got somebody that's actually used the technology or who has experienced what you're going to be talking about, invite them on, because it really makes for an authentic discussion. So Carly, charged up to have you back, and all I know is that your first name starts with a V.
Veronique.
Veronique. Okay, and we've got Veronique, who's a user of VR. But Carly, I know you've got a slide deck, and I think I think our game plan is you're gonna sort of share some information with us on your slide deck, and then if you can take a few breaks, I'll let you know if there's any questions and answers. And then Veronique, at some point in the presentation, I think Carly's gonna call on you to talk a little bit about your experience. Do I have that right, Carly?
Yes, that's right, Steve. Thank you so much for having us here today, and I'm ready to jump in whenever you are.
Cool. So Veronique, you and we can duck behind the curtain here until we're needed, and we're looking forward to this.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Veronique, for being here today. I really appreciate you adding some of your feedback and some context to this discussion. And so, yes, I will bring up a slide and ask you to share your thoughts once we've kind of covered what virtual reality is. And if you have any time that you need to jump off the call, please, you could just let me know in the chat, and I'll be conscious of that. So thank you again for being here, Veronique. And thank you to everyone listening. I'm glad you could join us today. I'm very excited to speak on the topic of virtual reality. And
whoops, Carly. Yeah, your mic went off.
Got it. All right. So yes, as Steve was saying, I did present back in 2020, sort of at the beginning of the pandemic, to talk about virtual reality and how it can allow us to continue to live life to the fullest, regardless of our physical situation, or whether we're locked inside, or whatever the case may be. And so you'll see what exactly virtual reality is and how it can be used. Just a quick introduction on myself. So I am the founder of Viva Vita. We're a company that brings virtual reality to older adults all across the world. We started in 2019, and I was actually inspired by my own grandmother, who had begun to live alone and was dealing with some social isolation and just truly boredom on a regular basis. So virtual reality became this tool that I could bring to my grandmother, where she could continue to explore the world, learn new things, participate in her favorite activities, and do this all from the comfort of her home. So in my endeavors, I've been able to speak at several different functions in the US and abroad, and even contribute to a book of case studies on virtual reality. So thank you again for having me. And let's just jump right in. So today I'd like to talk about what is virtual reality. You might have heard something about it from your friends, maybe even a healthcare provider, or maybe you've just seen the commercials on TV. So we're going to get into what it actually is, how it can benefit our health, and then what Viva Vita is all about, and our mission to deliver virtual reality to folks everywhere so that they can live life to the fullest. And then, as Steve said, we will have a word from Veronique, and we so appreciate that. So, if you wouldn't mind just putting in the chat or raising your virtual hand, I'm curious who here has tried virtual reality. And we've heard of some folks trying virtual reality at different museums, whether it's the Space Museum, Air and Space, or trying out that Van Gogh exhibit that visited DC recently. Um, whether or not you have tried virtual reality, that's all great. We're going to cover across the board today, but just wanted to get a show of hands here.
Yeah, so it looks like we got about 4 or 5 people who are raising their hands. A few people, oh, my friend Ralph, yeah, he bought the headsets. Min has tried it. Trina hasn't tried it. So it looks like we got a mix of some folks that may have tried it and some that may haven't.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's a great place to be. So, yes, for those who have tried it, you have witnessed the power of virtual reality. And this is the headset that you might see most commonly, the Oculus Quest. They have some commercials on TV. What we've done is basically take a device like this and make it friendly to older adults and to their families as well. So I'll get into how we do that in just a moment. But for those of you who have not tried virtual reality, to kind of give you a quick shortcut of what it is, it's sort of like the Viewmaster. If you remember this from maybe your childhood, I know I certainly used one in pre-K and kindergarten, and many of the older adults I've had the pleasure of meeting, they are familiar with this as well. So of course you put the pictures in and you push the button to look through different pictures. Okay, well this is today's virtual reality headset. And it's sort of the same idea. You put on the headset. Instead of pictures, though, you're looking at videos. And because the headset fits on your head to where you don't have to hold it up and you can look around freely, that video is not just in front of your eyes, but it's actually all around you. So if you can imagine jumping into a virtual environment, jumping into a TV screen where it's not just in front of you, but when you look to your left and right, you're seeing that virtual world. So here are some examples. So we have this man here. He is wearing the virtual reality headset, of course, and he's actually taking a trip to Iceland right now. You can see he's moving around because the environment, again, it's all around him. So there's much to see, from the mountains behind him to the sea in front of him and the beautiful sky above. And it is actually a video inside the headset. So it's moving, and there's even a narration that's telling him a little bit about Iceland. What's great about virtual reality, as you can see, is it can really be used by anyone. Some of the commercials you'll see on TV, they really focus on young gamers, but it's a really powerful tool, whether you're in a retirement community, living at home, whether you drive your car every day and jet set, or you don't drive, maybe you're using a wheelchair. VR can benefit everyone. So maybe this is a good place to pause, Steve, and just see if anyone has questions on virtual reality itself and that concept of how that works.
Nothing that I see yet, but so keep on going, and if something pops up, I'll let you know.
Excellent. Okay. So the scenes that you could see in virtual reality, essentially these videos like this man is watching, they're very limitless. It's kind of whatever you can imagine, you can see in virtual reality. At Viva Vita, what we offer is we focused on a few different categories: travel, relaxation, and education. So here are some of our travel videos, and you can see that these are pictures, but in the headset, they're all videos. And you could go places like all of the different wonders of the world, whether it's somewhere that you've been before and you just really would like to see again, or a location that you never got the chance to see, virtual reality really is that opportunity. So you could see, places in Europe, uh, other locations. We've even expanded a little bit to add an adventure category, which includes some of these more high-paced videos, like flying in an F-16 fighter jet, downhill winter skiing, or even flying above Alaskan glaciers. So these are all very popular experiences from our travel category. Our next big category being relaxation and nature. So here are some sample videos, as you can see, and this is again my grandmother Glinda, who models for us. You might remember her from the first slide. We do have a variety of relaxation videos, from guided meditation to animal scenes as well. And then lastly, we have our education category, which largely includes music and art. You can see these live performances where it feels like you're really sitting in the room in front of these musical performers. You can hear the music they're playing clearly, as if you're really there. And same with the art. It does feel as though you've immersed yourself in one of these famous paintings, whether it's the creation of Adam, the Starry Night, and many more that we have in our collection. And then finally, we do have some travel videos that provide narration as well, so that you can learn about the location you're visiting, some of the history and culture. Really, there's so much you could do with virtual reality. So now let's talk about, how popular is it? Is it successful with this population? Would you enjoy virtual reality? Well, let's just throw out some stats first. So first, the older generations are really popping off. This is really great to see. Actually, almost all of the baby boomers have reached the age of 65. We've got just a few more years to go there. And there are 11,000 people that turn 65 every day in our country. So to me, this represents a huge opportunity for us to collaborate, to learn from one another, and to serve one another as well. And a special shout out to the DMV area. We have some of the most tech savvy seniors in our area. Very into internet and digital tools. They use telehealth. And so, contrary to popular belief, seniors are actually very tech savvy, and they're interested to learn more about modern technology, and what's going on in that area. So do they like it? Well, virtual reality is an opportunity to, of course, travel, relax, and learn through all stages of life, whether you are, a young child or all the way up until you are a senior. And for everyone, VR is stimulating to the brain and to the imagination. So you're exposing your brain to new stimuli, and that's going to help to keep it active. It's going to stimulate your brain and stimulate your imagination as well. And believe me, you don't have to take my word for it. There are many different studies out there from a variety of different organizations that have, done scientific research to show these benefits. And then from our own research, we've learned that virtual reality is not for everyone, but more than 9 out of 10 of our participants say that they enjoy it and that they'll use it again. And why I say it's maybe not for everyone is that some of us are prone to nausea or things like vertigo. And so it's not a perfect fit for everyone, but overwhelmingly, it's a very popular tool for older adults. So I don't think you can hear that sound. That's okay. So right here we have a video of one of our friends at Iona Senior Centers here in DC, or over in DC, working with a caregiver and using virtual reality, sharing their experience with the caregiver, Keith, here. Virtual reality, it poses a lot of benefits to older adults, whether you're living at home or living in a retirement community. And at Viva Vita, we're lucky enough to serve both groups. So we offer our VR kits to people living at home, as well as to these senior communities. And for everyone using virtual reality, like I mentioned on the last slide, VR is a great tool to engage your brain, engage your senses, um, provide that cognitive stimulation, and help keep neural pathways strong and healthy. But virtual reality is also a great tool to reminisce on your life well lived and the many different experiences that you've had and the many different locations that you've been to. And by revisiting these places in virtual reality or revisiting these activities, you could really embrace your life well lived and also share that with your friends and family around you. So we often see virtual reality used in groups, whether it's with someone like Veronique and her mother, who we'll hear from in a moment, or whether it's among friends, whether it's two spouses sharing this virtual activity. It's a great conversation starter. It's bringing up these memories, showing you some new exciting things, and so it brings in the social element, which of course we know that being social and spending time with friends and family is very important as we age. And then on the, when we're talking about retirement communities and the benefits that it can offer such a community, is that, it's really lends a lot to morale. When your residents are getting to explore the world and do these things that they love or that they've dreamed of, that of course sparks joy. And when they can share that with a caregiver like Keith here, they have something to bond on together. They share that personal experience. And it's just could be very lovely for everyone involved. We've also seen in especially memory care settings that VR is a great tool to de-agitate residents. Maybe at the end of the day, they're experiencing sundowning, anything along those lines. We could whisk them off to a relaxing virtual reality tour, kind of leave that agitation and that stress behind. And that's a great, of course, non-drug tool to use. And in this age of recruiting new folks and keeping them in a community, VR is a great tool to do that as well. Yeah, so we're just going to hear from Veronique in a moment, but I wanted to show you our virtual reality kit itself. So I brought up the headset earlier, so we have that here. And with Viva Vita, we actually have a special tablet as well. This tablet can be used to remotely control a VR experience. So whether you're using it on your own, with a family member, or in your community, this tablet makes it very easy to use and control the VR system, even if you've really never had experience with VR before. So I'll show you just a quick preview. It's as simple as opening up the Viva Vita app, and you'll see your categories here, the many options for virtual reality that you could choose. You simply select your option, press play, and you're ready to go. So I'll show you on my screen now so you can see a little bit better. When you open up your app, you see all of the options you have. And I'm actually going to bring it back to this page. So we have multiple categories here from travel, relaxation, and education. I mentioned we also have added adventure, animals, and a variety of different continents as well. So in this video, I'm going to click on animals, and we have all of our animal videos. Today we'll watch Germany, cows in the meadow. And we'll just press play to get started. It's really that simple. When I do press this play button here, the headset will automatically start streaming that video. So it's as simple as pushing the play button. And let's say, I'm with my family and we have 3 of these VR headsets. We all want to take a trip together. Well, the tablet comes in great. It comes in very handy here because we can actually automatically play all of those play this video on all of those headsets. So in other words, when I press the play button, myself, my mother, my grandmother will all be watching the cows in the meadow together at the same time. We'll be seeing the same thing. So it's kind of like we are traveling there together. And this is a beautiful scene. We're in the Alps of Germany. We've got these cows peacefully walking around. At one point, they even come up to the camera and lick the camera, so you get some interaction for the cows. But what we're seeing on the tablet here is essentially the view from all of my connected headsets. So in this example, let's say we have 4 headsets connected, myself, let's say Steve and Veronique are watching VR as well, and one more person. We're all seeing the same thing at the same time. So let's see another example of that. So here we're in a church in Italy, and you could see what the person wearing the first headset is seeing. You could see what the person in the second headset is seeing, and so on. And so let's say you're an activities director in a retirement community. You have 4 folks come in, sit down, put on their VR headsets, and you say, all right, everybody, today we're going to take a trip to Italy. You press the play button, and everyone is immersed in Italy at the same time. They're looking around and telling you what they see, telling you about this beautiful church they're inside of. And you, as the activity director, the person holding the tablet, you can see what they're seeing. You don't even have to wear a VR headset to really socially engage everyone and talk about their experience. All right, so that's a little overview of virtual reality and Viva Vita. Please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And for now, I would like to welcome Veronique to join and come on here and just, Veronique, whatever comes to mind, really. Veronique has been using virtual reality with her mother since about last November, and using it with other family members as well. So, yes, I'll turn it over to you, Veronique.
Let me, before you do that, whoops, sorry. I wanted to make sure that everybody can see Veronique, but also we did have a couple of questions before we hear a little bit about that firsthand experiences. Kelly asks, how long does each of the videos last? And you answered the question about the caregiver has the opportunity to participate as well.
Yes, yes. So the videos range anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. So you can, just depending on your audience or depending on what your preferences are that day, you have some variety there. And then how do the caregivers participate? Well, they can be holding the tablet. Maybe they're also wearing a VR headset. Everyone could wear a VR headset and travel together. But the caregiver can also just simply hold the tablet and see what they're seeing on the tablet screen.
And then she also had a question, how do the patients, residents with dementia or Alzheimer's use this, and have there been any issues with sort of memory impairment?
That's a great question. That's a question that we get often, actually. And so there are a few things to note. Virtual reality can be especially impactful for those that may have dementia or Alzheimer's or are beginning to experience some symptoms of that. Because really, a big part of memory loss is just not having the right memory cues, and virtual reality can provide certain cues, can show you a time or show you a location that you've been to in the past and bring up some memories, get those neural pathways reactivated. But you mentioned the physical aspect of the headset. That is also worth noting. The headset can sometimes be agitating to those that may have dementia or Alzheimer's. They may not be able to tolerate it for very long, tolerate wearing the headset. That's what we've observed. But if you are able to approach that individual in the right way and relate the VR experience to their personal experiences and to their life, you can get them to try it. And like I said, it can be the most impactful for those individuals. So yes, thank you for that question.
I love it. Well, I want to hear this personal story. I'm delighted that and refresh my memory again. How do I pronounce your first name?
Veronique.
Veronique. Yeah, I'm really interested in hearing Veronique's story.
Thank you. Am I ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. I want to thank you, Steve and Carly, for inviting me to come on board. I've been telling everyone about Viva Vita. It's been a wonderful experience. Carly and I met last year, and she explained the process to me, and I was planning a visit to visit my mother, who was 86 years old at the time, and go down there for Thanksgiving for a family reunion. We introduced it to my mother. I will say that my niece was there with me who works for Apple, and I wanted to sort of hand everything over to my niece and just have her set it up without really saying anything to her to see how easy it would be for her. And it was very easy for her because she is familiar with gaming and VR, which I am not. So I'm in my 60s, my niece is in her 30s, my mother is about to turn 87. And so we're preparing to go back down for family reunion next month. And I'm looking forward to showing my mother more of the videos. It is a subscription service, so I get new videos monthly. Um, but the first time that we used it last year with my mom, she did not like having the headset strapped to her head, and I'm glad you brought that up, Carly. And I also weirdly have that issue. But I hold it up to my head, and it's great. I'm sure I'll get used to it over time. My niece, on the other hand, who's familiar with gaming, put strapped it on her head and was absolutely fine with it. We My mother is from France, and so we started with a trip along the Seine River, which is one of the videos that's provided. And then we went around to different countries around Europe, expanding outward. And it turns out that my mother had visited many of these places, which I didn't know about. I'm the oldest child, and I felt really close to my mom. I've traveled to France with her a lot, and we're very close. But she told us a lot of stories that I didn't know. So it was really interesting. And I'm sure there were things that she hadn't even thought about for at least 50 or 60 years. So that was very invigorating. And we've since had discussions about some of those memories. My mother is in excellent health. She takes long walks every day. We don't see any signs of dementia. So she's very present, but it is it is a relief from boredom, as Carly mentioned. She does have limited eyesight currently. She has had her cataract surgery a couple of times, but there was no impact with using the VR headset. She was able to see very clearly. If there's any other questions or anything that someone would like to know, I'd be more than happy to share. And before I sign off, I would really like to say that I'm not embarrassed to say I've spent hours watching kangaroos eating grass next to in New Zealand, and it's some of the most relaxing sleep I've ever had afterwards. It's a wonderful tool.
Oh man, that what a great story, and really eager to hear how when you reconnect with her here coming up soon, how that goes. If you don't mind hanging out, we do have questions that are coming in, and you may be able to provide some feedback on that. But you know, feel free to jump off if you need to, if you have another appointment. But we really appreciate you telling your personal story. It really makes it a lot more authentic. Carly, I'm just going to start ripping through some of these questions, if that's okay.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much, Veronique, for your feedback. And, VR really can be such a great connector, like you're saying, and bringing out these old memories, things that we hadn't thought about in a long time and maybe hadn't shared. So that really warms my heart. I'm also glad to hear that you've enjoyed the kangaroo videos in New Zealand there. So wonderful.
Well, yeah, and the fact that you enjoy using this and that you're finding value and purpose in using it as well is what makes this wonderful technology, because this is not technology just for older adults. This is technology that everybody can enjoy. And it's, as we know, anytime you sort of slap that stigma on, oh, here's the virtual reality machine for older adults, it's instantly the thing that nobody wants to use, whereas this is technology that all generations can use together, as you'd illustrated in your family coming together with this, and your grandmother. Okay, let's see. First off, Teresa has her hand raised. If that's a mistake, no problem, but I am going to allow you to talk, and just feel free to open your mic if you do have a question. But then I'll start going through some of these questions here. What if vertigo or motion are these devices returnable if somebody discovers that they can't use them?
Yes, absolutely. So, vertigo, or just kind of the more being more likely to feel nauseous or that sort of thing in VR. It does happen. It's, from our observation, it's a small percentage of the population, but I definitely, for all kinds of pricing questions and anything that you're interested as far as Viva Vita, I'd love to speak with you. And you could definitely just check out our website. I'll make sure to put that in the chat too, to answer some of those questions, and then we can talk soon as well.
Okay, great. We do have a few folks that are interested in pricing and how much it costs to, because I guess, you could go to a website and you could order one of these and you could figure it all out on your own, or you could work with Viva Vita, and you work with senior living communities, and I imagine there's a lot of bulk discounting and things like that there. But what do you work with individuals? So could somebody buy product through you and it would be sent to their house?
Yes, exactly right. So we work with individuals and also with the communities, and we're really grateful to be able to reach everyone, both in the U.S. and around the world. Um,
Maybe a rough idea, like if somebody is at home if somebody thinks that this would be a good thing for their mom, um, what are we talking about in terms of pricing options?
Yeah, so actually we do have a kit on sale right now, so now's a good time, but our pricing is comparable to buying an Oculus Quest from Best Buy. Um, I heard you mention a fellow named Ralph in the chat has an Oculus Quest, I believe, so that's excellent. I always encourage folks to find the tool that works best for you, and you could certainly go to any Best Buy and check out the Quest. What we've done is basically take that device, make it very simple for a family or for an individual who is not really that familiar with virtual reality. And then plus myself and our team, we're there for you to walk you through the training and the setup, unlike if you were to just buy a product off the shelf. So.
Okay. All right, great. And then here, I'll drop in the page on your website here with pricing for folks that are interested in that. But it looks like you've got for the individuals, this is on sale. Refurbished kit $423, a Viva Vita kit $509. That's on sale, and then a VR kit subscription that's $29. So I imagine that is, you've sort of curated different types of programs and videos for people to watch, and that's the subscription element of it.
Yes, that's right. So any kit purchase goes along with a subscription purchase. So we can't offer just the kit without the subscription. But what that does is, of course, you get all the hardware, you get the backpack with the VR headset and the tablet inside. And then, as Veronique said, you'll receive several new programs every month. So you'll have new videos to watch. Really, it's very difficult to get bored with the videos because we have, hundreds of them. So
and you could get stuck on kangaroos.
yes, you find favorites.
So,
Exactly.
all right. Well, the questions are piling up here, and also we've got some folks raising their hands. So I'm gonna allow Gabe and Paula to talk. It's not by mistake that you're opening your mic, but let me read one of these questions here. before we get to them. Susan, again, somebody else that I know and reached out to me about this discussion. She says, how are the videos created? Can a custom video be created using photos from the person's life? And Susan sent me an email the other day about how her mom just loved the VR exhibit at the Air and Space Museum, and she's really interested in seeing if this could be something in the senior living community that her mom is living in. But can you do sort of things with people's personal photos?
Okay, yeah. So how the videos are created, I'll answer that first. And that is that we have partners we work with all around the world. These are professional videographers that film in VR. And so we've created and curated a library from them. We also we add new content, as I mentioned, and the best way for us to add new content is to get ideas directly from our customers of what they'd like to see. So we've created a sort of wish list, and as our customers have suggestions, we add them to the wish list, and we work with our partners to create those videos. As far as uploading your own personal videos, that is also a possibility, but that's only available through the enterprise offerings. So, selling to a business, essentially, a retirement community versus someone at home. I hope that answers your question.
Great, great. Okay, and let's see, Gabe, you've got your mic open. Did you have a question?
Well, just a question and a comment. First, this is great. This was a lot of fun, Carly. So thanks for that. My question is, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was a push. People were sending out little cardboard boxes that you could put your phone into, hold them up to your head, and watch videos. I spent probably 30 or 35 bucks at Amazon and got a real helmet that I could put the phones in, so I didn't have to hold it up to my face. And I watched a couple of New York Times virtual reality scenarios. One had me climbing the spire at the top of the new World Trade Center building. So starting 1,000 feet up and then climbing the spire another 100 feet and looking around, looking up, and especially looking down and just finding it amazingly immersive. And the other one that I remember was set in Saudi Arabia, where first I was standing in a crowd and I could watch the crowd approach me. And if I turned around, I could watch the crowd walk away from me in the other direction. So again, incredibly immersive. And what I found was that I needed to keep a hand on a desk while I was doing that. Otherwise, I'd walk around in my office and bump into things. And so my question is, have you looked into using some of those very low end technologies to make the whole idea of what you're providing that much more accessible to more people, to not have to have the expensive Oculus or equivalent headset, and yet be able to take advantage of the wonderful content you're producing?
Yes, well, that is an excellent suggestion, and thank you for sharing your experiences too, Gabe, with those couple of fantastic VR programs. It really shows you how realistic it is and how much it feels like you're really there. The reason why we have not actually, so we have thought about offering, one of these Google Cardboard devices, as you mentioned. That's kind of the device where you could strap your phone in and then look through the lenses. And then, as you mentioned, Gabe, there are some more that are a little bit sturdier and can be actually strapped on to your eyes. And, there are just some challenges with that as well. Having the latest phone to put in the headset, and phone sizes are always changing, getting smaller, getting larger. So that does make this sort of headset more likely to become obsolete. So there are a few reasons why, but I will say accessibility and affordability is a huge part of our mission. And my mission personally is to get this amazing technology to everyone and anyone possible. So yes, we're always working to get down the cost of our products and our goods. So thank you very much for your contribution.
And Gabe, I'm gonna, since you're on and you're somebody that is experimented with VR, just even with the cardboard box thing, we had a question and somebody asked, how is this different than from YouTube and other sites? And I'm curious, Gabe, as somebody who's probably been to see, you've seen similar videos on YouTube versus VR. Can you sort of articulate the difference for somebody that might not?
Sure, absolutely. YouTube, you're looking at a flat screen, and if you turn your head, you're looking away from the screen. If you have one of these headsets on, whether it's the cardboard box or the kind that Carly is talking about, you turn your head and you're still immersed in the scene, and you're looking at whatever is over to your left. And as I said, when I was up at the top of the spire, I could look down 1,100 feet and see all the people and little ant-like cars crawling around, and that's not going to work with YouTube. The other thing is that I've looked at industrial strength technology too. I've tried out medical VR, and I've tried transportation VR. I was just at the Highway Administration Research Center in McLean a couple of days ago, and they have incredible VR set up to experiment with, say, pedestrians walking across a street. And so the pedestrians are the test subjects are walking in a lab room, and yet they're wearing a headset that has them outside at a real intersection. And if they look to the left or look to the right, they can see cars. If they look behind them, they can see what's sneaking up on them. That's just not going to happen with YouTube. So the whole point is that VR is immersive. You're in the moment, you're in the environment, and you can really lose yourself and forget where you are. As Carly was describing, with having people who are housebound, who are immobile, using this kind of VR, it's an out-of-body experience. It takes them anywhere they can be, and the places they can be either real, some of the scenes that Carly was describing, or imaginary. I've watched VR scenarios where somebody mounted GoPro cameras on a skier's poles and was skiing down a XXX black slope. And so you feel like you're bouncing up and down because you're just so much in the moment. And I've seen simulations of being on Mars. And so good luck doing that with YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, no, that's great. That's an authentic response there for that person. Susan Becker is asking, can you bring your setup to a senior living community and for show and tell to hopefully encourage? I know Susan would love her community to do this. Is that something that you could do, like a demo for some of the residents? Whoops, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. We absolutely do demos, virtually and in person. So if you're local to the DMV area, yes, we can certainly be there. And I'll just go ahead and put my email in the chat too.
Absolutely, yeah, do that.
Feel free to reach out.
How much does that device weigh approximately?
1 pound and 4 ounces. So it's one of the lightest VR headsets out there, and it's counterweighted as well. There's some weight in the back and in the front, so it's very comfortable.
Okay, cool. And then are public libraries, are they a place that people could, get, like, let's say somebody's got a headset from their adult child, is there any kind of lending libraries or anything like that?
Yes, I wish. We have spoken with a few libraries, so it seems like there's growing interest in public libraries to offer this to, their community members. So hopefully we'll see more of that in the future. But at this point, I'm not aware of any.
Okay. And then Sam asks, could this could be for either Carly or Veronique, but can either of you share about how much hearing and visual impairment is accommodated for the VR? I know, Sam, I'm legally blind in one eye, and I tried this, and I was able to get the feeling and experience. But Carly, speaking to hearing or visual impairment, have you had any experience with that?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to see if Veronique wanted to chime in or add anything.
I don't know about the hearing. We don't have a hearing loss, but as I mentioned, my mother can no longer watch TV. She can no longer use her computer monitor to send email. She can't see that way, but she had no trouble seeing through the VR headset.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what made it so astonishing and really, really exciting for our family.
Well, yeah, and I, as somebody with visual impairment, it's sort of when I take my glasses off and I watch a movie on my phone, it's like I've got this big TV screen there. So it's that's a real benefit. You had also commented, Veronique, that the if somebody has their own headset or somebody in their family that they can just buy, they can use that headset and then just buy the subscription. It sounds like perhaps your niece, it was in that she had one already.
I actually was asking it, Carly, if we are able, if someone does already have a headset
Oh,
or they have nieces, nephews, their children have these VR headsets for gaming, does Viva Vita offer just the subscription service? Because that would be appealing because I have other nieces and nephews that live closer to my mother and they might be able to drive over and provide it more often than I could just with my headset, for example. Carly?
I see. Yes. Well, actually, so that's not a request that we've had too often before, but I don't really see why not.
Yeah.
Our app is not available on any public app store, so you couldn't search for it on your Oculus device, for example. But if that was a request of yours, we could certainly work to make that happen. Get your headset, whether it's a Pico or an Oculus, get that loaded up with our videos. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Cool.
no, it's and as we know, a lot, I bet you a lot of these headsets are purchased and used by, a young gamer, and now he or she is moving on to another game. And so might be a great program to get those recycled and get some older adults using them. Let's see. Ralph says it seems that VR headsets are the biggest barrier. Are they considering VR glasses like the HTC Viva Flow or the Nreal X Real? So Ralph, he knows what he's talking about, but I've seen promotion for something that looks a little bit more like glasses than a headset. Is that something that you're researching?
Yeah, absolutely. Always looking at augmented reality or AR and the whole extended reality field. Um, and yes, I believe that AR technology is it's still a little bit early. There are some kinks to work out as far as the accessibility and making it easy for a first time user. But certainly, the future holds a lot of AR and it has a lot of potential.
Great. And then Robert asks, can folks do other things on the device besides play games or exercise? Robert, one kind of cool thing that I've heard with VR headsets is training of, I think there's a company out there that uses it to train people, whether it be caregivers or elder care workers, on empathy, because you put this on and now you sort of live the embodiment of somebody who's in a hospital bed or somebody with Alzheimer's. Are there any other applications that folks can use when they get the headset, Carly?
Okay, wow. Well, don't get me too started on this topic, Steve, because VR is very cool and there are so many amazing applications that are being used out there. I think you might be referring to Embodied Labs, which I remember seeing a presentation from them at one of the positive aging talks back in 2019. So, yes, certainly a lot of great things going on. With our headset, we've really focused on the content categories that have been most popular with our users, and those are definitely travel, relaxation, and education. Um, However, there is an app store, a generic app store, just like an app store on your phone that you might have, where you can download other games and things that are already out there from creators. There's certainly many possibilities.
Okay, cool. And let's see. And then I dropped in, Ralph has a link that he shared with the VR glasses. Min says, can you put your email in the chat again? I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Carly, when you get a chance. And then also, folks, I'm going to have all of Carly's contact info with the recording. So one of the cool things about these discussions is if you're watching it, you could share this with your, friends, family, brothers, sisters. It's like, hey, let's take a look uh, at this for mom. And I'm dropping in a link for the Embodied Labs if anybody wants to check that technology out. And let me take a look and see if I missed any other questions here. Yeah, I'm really psyched. Susan, thanks for coming on. And this would be great. Brightview Senior Living at Dulles Corner is one of the positive aging community champions, and this would be awesome if they got if they tried out VR there. Let's see here. Okay, we talked about the cost of owning, and we've got that link on there, and you can there's a sale going on right now, which is great. And you talked about how you get your content. You work with various creators who develop content, and then I guess you're licensing it to them. They're licensing it to you, and you're blending it into your app.
Yes, we're curating a whole host of videos from around the world and different topics.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I think we've got through pretty much all the questions here. I'll say to you, Carly, is there anything that you would like to share that you haven't shared? And I'm not sure if Veronica, I keep on botching her name, but if she's got any sort of closing thoughts. But this has been a wonderful discussion, and it's pretty exciting that something like this can be delivered to all of us, not just older adults, but as we all know, if you're isolated either at home or you're not as mobile as you once were, having the ability to go on these adventures using virtual reality could be wonderful to our self-esteem and create some talking points amongst our family and our fellow residents and the staff and stuff like that.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Veronica, again so much for joining us and contributing to the discussion.
Yeah,
thank you for the invitation.
I really want to check in with you and see how things go on your next visit, but I really appreciate you sharing your great story as well.
Thank you. Feel free to reach out anytime. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, folks. Thanks so much for everybody who participated today. We'll see you in September. Enjoy your Labor Day break. And you got over 350 discussions that you can go through there at proaging.com if you're missing these live and interactive ones. And Carly, thanks a lot, and really looking forward to our next get together, because this technology is changing. We will get together again.
Absolutely. I look forward to that too. Thank you, Steve, and have a great day, everyone.
You bet.